Well, another down day, not exactly a surprise. Asian markets down pretty hard. European markets down pretty hard. The German equivalent of the American Dow, the DAX, is now solidly below 13,000. And the American markets were down today too. They opened much lower. They then spent the morning trying to crawl back up again slowly. Did not make it back to zero, though they came fairly close. They tried hard. Came back down in the afternoon, some, and then they just fought like crazy for the rest of the day to not have the market go any lower. At the end of the day, it was once again wild swings, relatively speaking, on an intraday basis, back and forth, trying to keep the market from going any lower. At the very end of the day, they had a big shove up yet that was only partially successful. It came back down just before the end of the day again, partly in order to try to make the end of day numbers look as good as possible. Again, as I say, they were only partially successful. They did manage in the end to keep the NASDAQ just barely above 11,000. It was below that level a fair amount earlier in the day. You know, the rest of the markets did not get back up to the key levels that they were trying to attempt in the process. Crypto's still down there. Bitcoin reference point, it's still down there at about 19,000. Not doing well at all. Interest rates did dip below, on the benchmark 10-year note, did dip below 3% this afternoon. Did not have as much of a positive impact on the stock market as one might have thought, which is also probably indicative of what is going on. I think it's very telling. Okay, oil price is still holding up too, so you know it was not the best of days. The Dow was down well over 200 points at the end of the day. It was down over 300 points for much of the afternoon. They tried to punch it up to at least down just 200 points or even less at the end of the day. It came very close at the end of the day, but it came flying right back down again. You know, it's you know, it's like it has been, hanging on for dear life, but at lower levels now. So we'll just have to see what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow being Friday again, that is always a special case, especially going into the weekend. And then of course on Monday it's another holiday. It's the second 3-day weekend of the two that I've been talking about. So there's no markets are open in America on Monday, except of course the currency markets, which are open 24/7. Which include the crypto markets, but all the regular markets won't be open on Monday, and then we may well have an afterglow on Tuesday and possibly Wednesday again as well, coming out of the holiday, as is often the case, and was the case this last time coming out of the previous holiday a couple of weeks ago. That didn't break down until this week. Okay, so we'll have to see how that plays itself out. So tomorrow might be very telling. We'll just have to see what it does, take that into account, and go from there, and also of course takes next week's true post-holiday trading into account to see where things go from here. But I don't think it'll be particularly good in the big picture, but it remains to be seen how far away we have to get away from these holidays before the markets will start trading in a truly real way again. I mean, the fact that it didn't hold up until the weekend is very telling already, in my opinion. That indicates a bit of realism coming into the picture again, given what's going on out there. But it remains to be seen how well they'll hold up coming out of the next holiday, to see what the near-term timing will look like overall in terms of the markets and how they react. So we'll see what happens there. You know, just one more for now, just one more day, see what happens, and then we get 3 days off anyway. Have to see what happens after that. So, you know, just so far more of the same, just barely hanging on or going down. I don't expect much upside, but we will see. Probably not, but we will see what happens. My guess is this market is going to start accelerating down in the not too distant future, but it remains to be seen exactly when that will happen, because as I've noted in the past, August is typically vacation month. on Wall Street. These are all self-employed traders, and they're typically very wealthy as well. You know, in other words, they only get paid when they work, but they are very wealthy, and so they typically take most of them typically take most of August and right on through until the long weekend at the beginning of September off. The full liquidity does not come back until after that holiday weekend at the beginning of September. And normally the market is very quiet during that time because there's nobody really, there are not enough people to move the market around. But if something's really major going on in the world, then it can actually be a very volatile time in more ways than one, because in that case there aren't enough traders in the system during that time to keep it settled down. Okay, given what's going on in the world in the meantime, I suspect this is going to be one of those years where end of July and August are not such a fun time for the markets, but we will see. We will see when we get there. As I said, I suspect it's going to be going down sooner or later, and the lack of liquidity that will probably be happening during August probably won't help that matter any, but we will have to see when we get there. At this point, it's not very far away. We will know soon enough.